Hello, YouTube. Uh, my name is Paul Dunn. Welcome back. If this is your first video, please subscribe, and you can check out my other videos. But basically, I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm a midlife male who is trying to share some of the things that I've learned through my life journey, specifically, hopefully, with younger people, but also people my age, as well. Um, a lot of the focus is going to be on personal development as well as really enjoying who you are as a person, becoming your own best friend, and sharing this friendship that you develop with yourself with others. All right, so it's going to be a lot of focus on health. Um, Today, though, I wanted to focus specifically on daily meditation, and I've been meditating now for over 6 years. I meditate every morning and every evening, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and I never miss. Before that, I dabbled for years, um, but over the last 6 years, 6+ years, I really became very disciplined and committed to it, and I can tell you a little bit about that. But I started out on my search for meditation and the benefits of meditation. Really, as a psychologist, I got really attracted to the mindfulness movement, which is part of the positive psychology movement in the field of psychology, where the focus is more on health and helping people to become, more resilient and enjoying life, rather than focusing on a lot of the mental illness part of the field of psychology, which a lot of psychology focuses on. But positive psychology really tried to pull it also towards the health side. So I really got attracted to that, and mindfulness in particular really turned me on because of the benefits that the research was demonstrating, that when people are meditating daily, not just a one and done, but meditating every single day over a period of time, there's a lot of mental health benefits. Um, I'll just rattle off a couple, but you got to read for it, and I'm sure you may have already heard of many of them. But one primary one is you start sleeping better. A lot of people complain that they struggle with having a good night's sleep. If you start meditating twice a day, you will find that you're sleeping better. The other is you will find a reduction in your sense of anxiety, and even your sense of sadness and depression, and even a reduction in your feeling of loneliness. Like, so all of these emotional states drop. That doesn't mean they're eliminated, but they drop. And you actually start experiencing within yourself a peace within yourself, and we'll talk a little bit more about that peace and how you can really spread that peace throughout your entire life. Not just while you're meditating. But there are some, definite benefits. There's also blood pressure benefits and other benefits that have been documented, but I really focus more on the psychological benefits. I think that they're the most impressive. All right, so as far as the way I meditate, I actually there was a teacher who taught me that made the biggest impact on me, and that was Lawrence Freeman. He's actually a Benedictine monk. Um, and he's the director of the World Community for Christian Meditation, which is an ecumenical outreach community. So they work with people from all religions, and they're not really they're really focused on the practice of meditation as a contemplative practice that has been passed down to us through the ages. So Lawrence Freeman taught me, and he made the biggest impact on me. And his teacher was John Main. So if you're interested in either John Main or Lawrence Freeman, please go to the WCCM.org. That's the World Community for Christian Meditation, a very trustworthy organization. But in any case, the way that Lawrence Freeman teaches meditation is he talks about 3 S's. The first S stands for sitting still. So when we get to a point where we can meditate, we'll even meditate, you and I, for a minute together. Um, but we would sit still. You're not all rigid. You're relaxed, but you're sitting still. Your back is upright. Um, you could be leaning against the back of the chair. You're sitting in silence. That's the second S. So I can't control the noise around me. I have an influence since I'm in my own house. But my dog Buddy, can sometimes make a lot of noise, and I can't, stop him from making noise. So, or if my kids were home, they'd be making noise, and I can't stop them. I can ask everybody, hey, can everybody please be quiet? But so I can influence the silence, but I can only really control my own silence. And so, what does that mean? It means not talking, not making noises. So I can, sit still, and then I can sit silent. And then the third S is simplicity. So it stands for simple or simplicity, and it's simply repeating a word or a phrase. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, when you would meditate, one common mantra or phrase and I'm sure you've heard of it, is the word Om. So it's but you're even saying it within your own mind, and so you're not even saying it out loud, but you're just repeating that elongated sounded word. Every religious tradition or wisdom tradition throughout time has holy words or sacred words. In the Christian faith, the Benedictine monks, they've taught an Aramaic word. The word is ma, ra, na, tha. And that's the word that Father Lawrence taught me, so that's the word that I use. Ma, ra, na, tha. And so I just constantly repeat that phrase. It's Aramaic. I don't focus on what it means. I could tell you what it means, but I don't really focus on what it means. I just say the word, ma, ra, na, tha, 4 syllables. And basically I get into a bit of a rhythm, as I'm breathing. And I'm not saying it out loud again. I'm just saying it to myself. But for you, I'll say it out loud. But as I'm breathing, I may be saying ma, ra, na, tha. Ma, ra, na, tha. Now, you don't have to use either the or the Maranatha. You may come up with a different word or phrase, but it's nice to use mantras that have been around for a while. There's some tradition behind it. But, okay, so now you're sitting still, you're sitting in silence, you're simply saying the word ma, ra, na, tha to yourself, for the 20 minutes. Now you might say, like, oh, that sounds a bit boring, but here's the thing. You're even with all 3 of those S's, you're actually not even meditating until you get distracted. And you will get distracted almost immediately. So, we'd hear the bell, and we're sitting still, and we're sitting silent, and we're repeating the phrase, the mantra to ourselves, and we're still not even meditating until our mind starts thinking about something else. Another person or a conversation that you had or you want to have, a problem that you're facing at work, a feeling that you're having, whether it's a feeling of sadness or anxiety, or you're worrying about something, or you're angry about something, or maybe it's an exciting feeling, like, anticipating something really good happening, or maybe you're thinking about a person that you love, and you want to go see that person. So you have a feeling of desire, all of these are distractions, while you're meditating. And so basically you're sitting still, you're sitting silent, you're simply repeating the phrase, And then you find your mind getting distracted with a thought or a feeling or an idea or an image. And now you're almost meditating because now you got distracted, but now it's the choice. Do I continue to think about this thought, this idea, feel this feeling, or do I let it go? And in meditation, you're choosing to not finish the thought, but let it go and return back to the mantra. So, and this is the same in every tradition, every wisdom tradition throughout time. It's the same basic thing that you're sitting still, you're sitting silent, you're repeating a mantra, and you start thinking about something. And then you realize, oh my goodness, I'm thinking about something. I'm not saying the mantra. So then what you do is you choose to let it go and you return your attention back to the mantra. So the mantra is something that you're constantly returning to. You're returning to the word. You're constantly going back and you're choosing to let go. The Buddhists would say you're becoming empty. You're emptying yourself. You're becoming this emptiness. The Christians would say you're becoming poverty of spirit. You're letting go all the riches of thoughts and ideas. And you're letting them go, you're laying them down. So you're basically laying down, in a sense, you're laying down your life. You're laying down all the things that, you normally you would consider part of your life. During the meditation, you're laying them down, you're becoming poverty, you're becoming empty, and you're staying in that place. And all of a sudden you start realizing that it's a space, but it's a psychic space, but you start becoming aware of this place where there is nothing, and the longer you stay in that place, a greater sense of peace happens, within you. Now, if you start becoming aware, like, oh, I'm feeling more peaceful, you got to lay that down, because that's a distraction. Anytime your mind starts analyzing or thinking about something, you got to lay that down. So you're kind of trying to get rid of all of these thoughts and just be. You're just being present, to being, to from a religious perspective, you're being present to God, but you're being present to the ground of being, to this empty place, and in the contemplative tradition, emptiness is fullness. Fullness is emptiness. So there's a lot of paradoxes, when you get into this space. Let me think if I want to say anything else. All right. So I guess the other thing I would suggest, if you're curious, is download an app, and there's tons of apps, tons of meditation apps. All right. The app that I use is the WCCM app. All right. You can go to your app store. It's free, but it brings you to the World Community for Christian Meditation. It's their app. They have great. You got all these different bells and chimes you can pick from, and a timer. They also have free resources. You can listen to talks, so I highly recommend it. Very trustworthy organization. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 2 minutes. All right. And and I'm going to sit back. I'm going to sit still. I'm going to sit silent, and I'm going to simply repeat the mantra Maranatha. I'm going to just keep repeating it to myself during the 2 minutes. All right. If you'd like to do this with me, don't do it while you're driving. But if you're sitting and watching, do it. It's 2 minutes, right? If you've never meditated before, this is a great experience, And if you've meditated lots of times, this may be a slightly different way of doing it. I don't know, than the way you've been taught. It's definitely not a guided. All right. So because and there's nothing wrong with guided, but this is more really trying to get to a greater sense of peace and silence, stillness within yourself. What I can tell you, I've been meditating out, like I said, for over 6 years, every day. I can tell you that as time went on, I started feeling just less anxious. That was probably the biggest thing that I started realizing. Like, I'm not as anxious as I once was, and much more comfortable with who I am as a person, and really liking who I am, as a person, which is a theme that you're going to hear in all of my talks. Like, that's really what my if I could offer one thing through this, it's one thing that I work on with all of my counseling clients is our primary purpose, in my opinion, is to befriend ourselves. I have to befriend me. My best friend is actually me. I gotta be this guy's best friend. And then through my friendship, I can experience life and enjoy life. And because I like me, I'm able to now like you and like other people, and I can tolerate all the differences, and I love difference, the longer you get to know me, you'll realize that I love people that are different from me. As long as they're nice to me and they're willing to interact with me, I'm very curious and I love interacting with them. So, but I do believe that happened through my daily practice of meditation, because all of a sudden I realized, like, I actually like being myself. So when I realized that, and I've come to terms with that, and I've really embraced that in spite of all my nuttiness and failings, I'm much more interested and curious about, and much more open to embracing others, and so that's a real gift that I do attribute to meditation. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hit the start button. So if you would just sit back in your chair. Um, so we're going to sit still. We're going to sit in silence. I'm going to hit the bell. You'll hear it chime. Uh, Basically, it'll be like three chimes, and then there's this rotating chime, and then it'll become silent, and then 2 minutes are going to go by, and that might feel a little bit long for YouTube, but we'll give it a try. And then when the 2 minutes are done, the bell will ring again 4 times, and then we could talk again. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a try. So here we go. So again, the mantra, if you want to use the mantra I use, it's Ma Ra Na Tha. Ma Ra Na Tha. You don't have to use that mantra, but that's a good one. It's been around for a very long time. All right, so here we go. Okay. Well, if you're still with me, great job. That was 2 minutes of meditation, and hopefully you had a good experience with that. Again, the goal is to, it's not to blank out the mind. The goal is to be present and be silent and let go, I really think that the biggest benefit that daily meditation has is it teaches our mind um, how to let go, which is something that our mind seems to not want to do naturally. I think our human mind wants to hold on, obsess, think over, or go over and over and over things, and it has a difficult time letting go. I often say to the counseling clients that I work with that the biggest struggle that modern man has is an overactive mind, and it's and the inability to let things go. So if you start practicing a daily meditation, and it's not hard to do, as you just saw. But if you do it, um, you will find yourself beginning to let go of things easier. And that's good, because the only way to be in the present moment and fully alive and fully enjoying life is you have to let go of the past and let go of struggles. That doesn't mean ignore problems. You got to face problems, you got to solve problems, but then you got to let them go. And a lot of times we tend to hold on to our problems, and so meditation helps us. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe if you liked this. Please hit the like button. If you want to leave me a comment, I will respond to you. And please remember that you are special. And I really mean that. Each human being on the face of this earth is a special being, and you are one of them. So thank you for joining in. All right. See you next time.